daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today, joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach Finch. How you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I've had a bit of a rough day. You'll be aware of that.
It's all good, mate. It's all good.
Don't know if anyone has tried to take a driving test over like the age of 30 before, but man, it's so much harder than I want it to be. But yeah, such is life. Celebi, we go again. All those words, but it does mean that you get a co-host back that isn't kind of off his head. Well,
it's good, mate. Well, mate, look, I'm looking forward to it, and what a topic we've got today, because it's transfer window coming up real soon, and we've not really had time to think about it or settle in and go and look for it. And it's sort of crazy with all the games coming thick and fast, and the manager position at the time of recording still very much up in the air.
It's not though, is it? It's up in the air about the fact that it's not been confirmed, but I'd genuinely be surprised if we don't see somebody other than Tonda at this point,
but
regardless of whether or not.
But look, mate, there's a lot to think about, and you were talking to me before the episode starts about some of the concerns you have. Is there actually a plan? Do we have a plan? Does that plan change if we bring a manager in? So, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling heading into the window? Let's start with that before we get into sort of specific ins and outs.
It feels like it's been such a whirlwind couple of months, right? With probably more downs than ups, and then a recent uptick of ups, and players that we thought would be kind of gone potentially in January who have now started to open up, players that we haven't even seen, players that are struggling and probably need some time elsewhere. There's a lot going on, and I kind of, I'm wondering what's going to happen. It's more curiosity than anything else, because there doesn't seem to be really a plan, as I pointed out before. And I understand it. They seem to, what is it? What was his quote that kept getting quoted? It's like squad planning is an art and all.
It's an art that becomes clear in hindsight or something.
And I'm like, okay, well, maybe 4 out of your 6 transfers, that's 75% of that was true, right? And we're seeing it with Cienza and other sort of players like that. But we've also got a lot of sort of deadwood we struggled to shift last season. Yeah. And they're still here. And, there are other, I think technically, isn't Bree supposed to be back in January? That was for half a year, but I can guarantee that's probably going to go on.
Yeah, that was the original term, but he's doing so well there. I don't know if that's a factor that will come into it. But I guess what I want to think about is, so much of any modern day manager, we've talked about this a lot on the show, it's one of our favourite topics, right? Comes in with their own philosophy of football, right? For better or for worse. So if we're not going with Tonda and we're holding out for someone with experience and someone comes in, are we leaving it too late to make an actual plan for the window? They've got to assess what we've got and what's going on, and if we need to bring anyone in. And I guess that's one question is obviously I personally, and I'm sure that you also believe, there are holes in our squad that we need to fill in January. And I would expect to see some departures. But do you think that the club hold that same opinion? Or do you think they're thinking, now we're right, now we're set? We've got our striker and our midfielder and our centre-back.
No, because surely they're not. Surely they've watched some of the games, right? Surely they've paid attention to the scores and paid attention to where the gaps are and things like, I wonder how much they regret not sorting out this sort of goalkeeper situation early on, because you look at, I think Ramsdale was talking about how he hopes, he had a good game. I think he must have played the other day, and he was talking about how, I hope to have many more career games at, this wonderful club. So he clearly don't want to be here. Come back to us or whatever, which I don't know, kind of stings a little bit, because I feel like at that point we should just sold him, because we've entirely lumped this on the idea of us getting back-to-back promotions again. It's not gone well.
It was a loan. It was a loan with an option, right? So if he wants to go, the money's pretty much guaranteed there for us.
Yeah,
so it's not
for sure. But the problem is that they won't be able to reinvest that until that's happened, and it's not going to happen theoretically until the end of the season. So that means we're stuck in this sort of goalkeeper sort of. And I know that you're sick of talking about it, but we're stuck in this limbo situation where all of this is caused by the fact that they did what they thought was a shrewd bit of business that doesn't really look to be working out that way. So if you take that as one of their plans, like the other problem when it comes to what do we think they're going to do and do we think they've got a plan in place is like they still thought Will Steele would be here. And also Will Steele kind of said he was happy with transfers, but I don't know how much truth there was to that. I think he still wanted another striker. I think there was always plans kind of to get another striker unless they just pinned all their hopes on Damien Downs, like they did creatively in Cienza.
I think a combination of Damien Downs and Ross Stewart, right? And the unfortunate part is that Ross Stewart was never going to be able to stay fit realistically, and any expectation that was the case. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable, especially based on how it's gone, to have called that silly.
It was just a huge risk, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's still going to be a huge risk going forward. And, you know, you're looking at how much game time Archer's getting, and he's not even knocking around in the under-21s, and I don't know if he's still got a knock. I don't believe so. He's got to be looking at this point and going, right? He must be, you know, looking at his career and being like, nah. And if he goes, they're going to have to replace him with somebody, and it probably needs to be somebody that, you know, has a bit more of an eye for goal, if I'm totally honest. You know, if we're supposedly the club that has the parachute payments and the spending power and this, that, and the other, I'd like us to prove it in the areas where it actually is needed, and not just buy another midfielder and another centre back for the 200th time. Because, you know, there are positions that we definitely need filling, and the striker's definitely one of them. I have no idea what's going on with right back. I know we're kind of moving into this wing back situation now, but we have technically James Bree, who's out on loan. We have Roroslev, who hasn't really got a sniff, and I don't really know if that's to do. It's probably a combination of his.
He's still injured, right? He's still injured at the minute, so he's out.
If that's what it is, then for sure. But like, I don't see him at the moment. If we're keeping with this win-back system, I don't see him getting in ahead of Fellows. Like,
no, absolutely not.
So, and then on top of that, you've got Elias Gillett, where like even Alfie House was saying that like he has no idea because the reports are constantly like he's going back in from loan. He's not. No one actually knows the truth to this. So, and you know, from the one or two times we saw him, he was actually really good. But if that's all he can manage, then yeah, for sure he's not coming. So, you know, it's a bit of a problem. Now we're going to almost be overloaded in the middle of the park. You've got a Dozy, which we don't know if he's coming back or wants to go. You've got a Rebo, who's just there, taking up space as well. So there's
that's
such
an
a
even
weird,
more complicated situation, right? Because now he, in January, becomes 6 months left on his contract. So actually, instead of looking to go, presumably what he'll actually be looking for is a pre-contract, right? Where they can sign him for free once the 6 months is up. It's like
that we take a massive cut price, which we might end up doing, if I'm totally honest. If the right person comes along to pay his wages, they might just let him go 6 months early. But then you've got others, you know, Batsky, like you wanted him to do better this season, him to get a go. And, you know, he couldn't even get a substitute appearance for love nor money, despite the fact, you know, pretty sure he scored one of those fantastic goals. It was either Norwich or Northampton. I can't remember. But, like, you know, since then, he's now just appeared in the under-20 nights as time recording, alongside Romeo in a loss. But, there's just a lot going on. And it worries me that we have a situation where we're currently managerless, exactly like you pointed out. We don't know how we're going to be setting up. If we're setting up the way that we are, even if we're carrying on with this way, still going to require some changes, isn't it? So, it's a bit of a tough one. But we've also never usually spent well in January, at least under Sports Republic. It's either been throw the kitchen sink at it and it turned out to be terrible, or a couple of transfers that, you know, within 6 months, you're sort of this. Well, that last window, who was it? Krombach? That was it during the Premier League.
Oh yeah,
exactly. Wow. That was it. That January window, mate. So
Well, mate, look, let's try and hone in on some specifics
Sure.
and have a little think about it. But let's have a little break first and hear a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
All right, mate. We are back. Look, lots to break down. So let's start at the back.
To be fair, mate, I literally start. I don't exactly have I just have a flow of consciousness as opposed to anything else. So the fact that you're one of the few people in this life that can take away from that, you're right. Breaking it down, maybe position by position, might be helpful.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we're going to sign a goalkeeper. I think
people are going to be mad, but I just don't see it happening.
I don't see us bringing one in, and it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a point of contention. 5
goalkeepers on the cards, on the books, if not though. Technically, they bring in a new goalkeeper. You've then got technically Aaron Ramsdale, who is on loan, but technically still a Southampton player. Yeah. You've then got Baz and McCarthy, and then you've got that George fella.
Yeah.
Whose surname escapes me. Long? George Long? Let's go with George Long.
Yeah, that sounds right. The bloke we signed from Norwich, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. So look, I don't see it happening. I feel like it is going to be a point of contention for the rest of the season, but something we're going to have to stomach. And you know what? Baz is getting better and better, in my opinion, and sure, we'll see how it goes. See if that opinion holds.
Clip that up, mate, and watch the opinion of the internet tear you apart. But yeah, sure.
I'm fine with that. And then look, we've got loads of centre backs, right? If we don't need any more.
A metric ton of centre backs at this point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. We're spoiled for choice at the centre back department, and it's fine. We're happy. We found 3 or 4 that we're happy with to rotate in and out, and that's good. It's fine. And even with backups, right? Because Ronnie Edwards was really in the mix, and now we haven't seen or heard from him in a while. But I still would be confident bringing him into any of these lineups. So
for sure,
I think we're good. We're good there. Fullbacks, we probably need one, right?
Yeah, probably need a little bit more right back cover. But the problem is
maybe one that can play both sides, especially if what's true is we're sending Yella away, and he's been predominantly injured anyway.
You're right. We should have kept Kyle Walker-Peters by any means necessary.
Oh no,
it's on him. I know, and I know that I'm being salty about it.
Probably not the answer, right? But
look, it would have been nice, and it would have been a problem that we didn't have to resolve. And it's a bit of a weird one.
Here's the other point of thought and line of thought as well, mate. Is that Tonda's come out in his time here and said about how that route from the youth team to the first team is so important to him, and how that him and Adam Lallana have their office doors open and they're next to each other, and it's not really 2 separate teams. So, I mean, I don't pay anywhere near as much attention to the under-21s as maybe I should, but I mean, have we got a good fullback there that could come up and cover if needs be? Because if that is the case, probably we don't target that area.
Maybe the stranger things have happened, but I feel like we have seen a lot of who we'd expect, right? That's the thing, is like the players that they have decided to bring through, we've already kind of started to see. So you've had Bragg, you've had Barnaby Williams, who else have you had? Cisse,
Nick made it onto the bench.
Yeah, so
Kenley. Sorry, there we go. I got it back.
Right, do you want to say that whole bit again? Because you're going to have to cut this at this point, mate. So we've got Barnaby Williams, Cisse, Cam
Or
Bragg.
he made the bench.
So yeah,
Big Nick, right?
We've got players that we could that have kind of already started to come through and already have their debuts. I think if anybody else was ready or was needed, they would have started to put them on the bench already, right?
So fullback is somewhere we're probably almost definitely seeing a signing, right? Presumably.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the main target area. Then moving forward up the pitch. So we play with blocks of midfielders, right? So we kind of have CDMs and CAMs that or ACMs, depending on which game is your preference. So if you're talking about number 6 roles, we're probably okay in that position because Shea Charles will be coming back at some point.
Yep.
Flynn Downs will be back when he's not ill as often as possible.
Or suspended.
Cam Bragg has, shown that he's more than capable of playing that position. We saw Williams trusted there for 45 minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of him. We've got Romeu coming back to fitness. Like, it's almost right. Overload, right?
A metric ton alongside centre back. Where centre back, it kind of makes sense to have a metric ton, simply because of the fact we're playing 3 of them most of the time.
Yeah, so, maybe this also kind of makes sense because they all bring slightly different strengths and weaknesses, right? So there's tactical reasons to replace some of the others
as well. That's the other thing about it. Like you pointed out yourself, some of these players are youth players and have been in and out of the team, so they can go out of the team when necessary.
With that list of players in front of him and seeing how he's performed when he has been brought on, there's just no room for Joe Rebo at this point. Surely, it's just. There are so many players that you would play above him, and sure, one of them's injured and one of them was suspended at the weekend, which puts us in the position where I forgot to even mention Casper Yander, who is actually the first choice for me. So, that's just such a list of
how have we forgotten Casper Yander, who scored?
Because that's his
2-2.
Mate, that's the joy of his game, though, is that apart from popping up with the occasional goal, the work he does is the dirty, invisible work that no one really notices. That's the beauty of it.
The Shea Charles work, which is what we also love about Shea Charles. But you're right, but I don't think they've been playing Joe Rebo there, though, right? Joe Rebo's replaced forward players mainly in this current system. He played here, there, and everywhere the season before, and did all right, but this season
centre back and top goal scorer, right? That was how it was for most of the season.
And how well did centre back go, mate? I don't remember that game. I don't remember us winning it. It's a fair punt to say we didn't win most of those games last season. So, but so because of that, I feel like as well, if you get a Dozy fit and he wants to play, even on that sort of left hand side, you're not really going to swap. If you've got Cienza or Robinson. And then you really bringing on a Rebo at that point? Probably not.
So let's talk about that next. But let's have a little break first before we move to our forward line and hear a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. All right, mate. Let's move from the defensive midfield. I think it's pretty solidly agreed. We're pretty stocked. We're pretty stacked. We're fine. So let's move into these attacking areas. So I don't know if you can really call our system wingers. We kind of have a front group of players who sort of rotate positions.
Who will run around and hopefully get the ball into an area that can be scored a goal from. Yeah.
Which is good, because that's what you need, right? You need to move around. If you stood in the same space the whole game, because that was your position, someone would just come and mark you. That is... I know that we like to break football down to its simplest elements and say it's as easy as kicking the ball in the goal, but there is a bit more to it than that. You need to, create space and all that fun stuff. So let's not think about this as left, right, middle. If we group them all together, right, as a creative outlet, we've got Cienza, Azaz, Robinson, who play these roles regularly, and they link up with the wing backs, which is fine. And then we've got a Rebo who comes off the bench for this position sometimes.
You sure it's there?
And I would say that position suits Matsuki more.
Probably.
But
right.
We don't see anything of him.
Nope.
But that's not a lot for a highly physical position that's going to need quite a bit of rotation. And as we saw at the weekend, Cienza goes out, and all of a sudden we struggle because what Jay Robinson brings to the table is just a different thing, right? He is a good player in his own right, but he's not Leo Cienza. So so I think that's probably an area we need to shore up, right?
I agree with you, because I said, like, you got a Dozy waiting in the wings to come back from injury, but without really a full preseason. Like, I think he was involved in summer preseason. He was involved in more preseason than a Rebo for sure. But we don't know where his headspace is at. He might come back from injury and just be like, I want to go. I know very much that it was last minute that all of his sort of Belgian moves fell through, right? So it's got to be, he might have already sort of made up his mind. But yeah, especially like going back a couple of weeks ago, mate, as well, people were talking about dropping Azaz for Joe Rebo because of how bad Azaz was playing, and then was like 4-4. And some people still give him a lot of stick, but I'm like, to be honest, if he plays bad for half the game and then scores a goal, I couldn't care less.
He scored 5 goals in 4 games as a Saints player. Can I remind you that our top goal scorer last season scored 5 goals all season?
Drop the mic now, mate. I don't know what else to say.
I don't think that anything else needs to be said. But yeah, that's definitely a position where we're going to probably struggle for a bit of depth. And to be fair, right, I think from what we've seen from Yanda, he could probably step up into that position and play in front of like a Shea Charles, probably.
Was Fellows meant to sort of play there initially?
Yeah, Fellows is meant to play there.
Of remember, but now he's our defensive wing back, but not really, because he's never really in the defence.
When you look at our shape, here we go, tactical analysis time with Greg. Here we go.
Just crack on, mate. Let's go.
When you look at our shape, I would group Fellows more with that forward group of players than with our defenders. And what we actually do is we almost move, it tends to be Harwood Bellis on that right-hand side of the back three, and he tends to sort of step out more into this sort of hybrid right-back, right-centre-back role. But he is also given the freedom to move forward into that midfield to give the overload. And then what tends to happen is Cienza starts on the left and then works his way over towards the right, giving the overload, and then pulls away back towards the left, giving Fellows the sort of space to go one-on-one with the defender, which, as we know, I mean, I've seen him described this week by pundits and by players. I think it was Ryan Manning that said it. He's the best one-on-one player in the league. Right, and we pointed that out when we played against Leicester. Like I said, I don't think he lost a one-on-one all night. It was insane, and so because he's naturally towards that attacking mentality, and he's sort of naturally a part of that attacking pack. Yeah, it's easy to throw him in there, and he could easily do a job in that role without the defensive capabilities if you were going to chuck a more traditional right back behind him. But it's still. It's still like one injury away from a concern, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. As or Lord forbid Cienza go out, that's a problem.
And then at the front of that, in front of that sort of attacking part of midfield and wide areas, you've got Adam Armstrong, who's obviously also given the ability to drop deep to pick up the ball to allow this sort of rotation around. But that is the depth of our strikers at the moment, right? Like, we've seen him come off for Damien Downs, but and not to discredit Damien Downs, because I think it's very unfair to judge him by the fact that when he has come on, the games have been dead. It's not his fault if he does not get an opportunity to put away, or if he only gets one opportunity and doesn't put it away, because he has struggled to start and he needs that confidence. But if you're only getting one chance a game, I mean, we of all people know that Adam Armstrong needs 3 to 4. normally to net. So, and then we haven't heard hair nor tail from Cameron Archer, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go. And I'd like to see Oyakunle come off the bench because he bangs him for fun for the youth team, so that is some layer of depth. But you talk about your need for some experience and some youth. If heaven forbid, Armour takes a knock and has 3 or 4 games out, we're in a position where we can struggle to fill that front sort of false 9, I guess, like position.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think everyone's kind of in agreement that it's probably somewhere they should have targeted. And by the sounds of it, they did, right? Originally, there's reports that they kind of also tried to bring Danny Ings in, and that obviously he went to Sheffield United, and by the sounds of it, he's having a great time there, not scoring. So maybe it was I don't know, a bullet dodged at this point. But
also even if Ross Stewart comes back from injury, which I don't know, I haven't heard any reports whatsoever apart from that he's long term out. But even if he does manage to come back from injury, he is not that profile of player. We talked before about profiles of strikers and big target men and not big target men, and we said it while we still have Will Still in charge. Damien Downs is much closer to Cameron Archer and Adam Armstrong than he was to Ross Stewart. So to have 3 strikers of that profile is fine because that's almost like for like. But when Cameron Archer's not even getting a look in, what
do you do? Where do you go? And but and to be fair, like, it's kind of baffling that everybody recognised this really early on.
Yeah,
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, when a lot of the fans are recognising something so key and not seeing it filled, like, the only thing I can see is that they have recognised that and have just struggled to fill it. And I know people say they should pay over the odds, but
here's the problem, mate, and here's the difficulty, right? Because you look at Adam Armstrong and his pedigree in this league, right? Last time we played in the Championship, he was the top goal scorer in the league, puts them away for fun. We're starting to see more of that now and that he's enjoying this shape. So, realistically, whoever we bring in is unlikely to knock Adam Armstrong out of the team. So, unless you're bringing in a player who is capable or has the skill set to do both that role that we want Adam Armstrong to do and also that other sort of attacking creative role which is slightly deeper, like your Cienza or your Azaz, you're not likely to be able to bring in anyone of quality because anyone who's got 10, 15 goals a season in them is A, going to be highly sought after, and B, isn't going to want to play second choice. So it's kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place because
what do? You have to bring somebody who wants to step up, and that means taking a risk. And that's the problem, is that with Damien Downs, it was a risk that was taken, and so far it's not paid off. But if what else the people want? I think it is genuinely a thing sometimes where it's like having to accept the reality of the situation that we are currently in the Championship. Yes, we're fighting to try and get promotion, but if you look at the table, it doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah.
Who is going to want to? Who has a prolific striker that scores goals is going to want to join that? Apart from somebody else in the Championship, where then we'll get massively criticised for buying a Championship player if we go up to the Premier League.
Yeah.
And also, if they've got a Championship striker that's playing really well for a team, that team probably doesn't want to sell him.
Yeah,
look at Gelhardt for Hull City. I can already see.
So it already immediately limits your options, and it almost limits it to either a player currently playing in the Premier League and struggling, but who should thrive under Championship, conditions, a la Ben Brereton Diaz, or like someone who's banging in goals for fun in League One and you can hope can make the step up. And I don't. And then again, in that case, why would they leave to come to, even with the step up the league, it's that comes to be second choice in a team that might not get promoted. Like it's a tough sell and it's a tough position to fill. And like I say, the only way you can sort of leverage it to your advantage is to try and get one of these sort of utility players that can do both parts. But then you open up yourself the possibility of getting a jack of all trades that isn't as good at either of those things. But also, that's hard to come by, man. That's like a rainbow unicorn, isn't it? Like, yeah, we're just gonna magic up this attacking player that can just play anywhere and score goals for fun and do all the creative stuff. Woo!
It's going to be really
right. And I'm gonna wake up in the morning with £3 million on my bedside table. It's just not going to happen, is it? Like.
Mate, it's just so it's such a hard position for us to try and sort out, and I'd love to hear what people think is the solution, because obviously for a while it was Patrick Bamford, and then he obviously went to Sheffield United and then got a lot of stick for that, for giving him a lot of stick when he went up with Leeds, and then obviously got released by Leeds, and it's like, well, yeah, okay, we could have picked up a free agent, and maybe looking back at it, maybe that was a good shout, but
it's kind of doomed if you do, doomed if you don't, isn't it? Because you either sign a player of that level as backup, or you bring in someone who's clearly quality, supposedly quality enough to knock Armour out of the first team, and then the pressure's on them to hit the ground running, or, the same questions come, like, we could sign Haaland, and if he doesn't score in 3 games, people will be going, well, that was an awful signing. Why have we done that? Why have we paid that much money?
It says a lot. I think it's, for the longest time, we've always kind of felt that we've never replaced Danny Ings, or we've never replaced Pella. And it's like, well, yeah, probably not, but it's hard to replace them. If it was easy, it wouldn't be a thing that we complain about constantly. If it was having a striker as sort of capable as Haaland in every team I guess it would make football more fun, because there would be so many more goals, but defenses would cry and it would be awful, and then the game would entirely change. But yeah, if it was so easy, we'd have resolved this problem a long time ago. And I think that under multitude, I don't think that there's a misconception. I think that it's like down to like mismanagement, and they've just never really focused on the position. And I sometimes feel a little bit guilty of that. Whereas in actuality, the reality of it is it's just really hard to get a striker that scores non-stop and is good.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough with Morgan Whittaker, another example, right? He played really well for Plymouth. He came in and he struggled massively. He got a lot of stick. Now he started to kind of come good, but that took a lot longer than I think Middlesbrough would have liked, right?
It's not easy, right? Because football is such a vast array, and you can succeed in one system or under one manager, and not succeed under a different manager, even if the style looks similar, for so many different reasons. Like it's not easy, or everyone would get paid millions of pounds to do it. It's everyone's first choice of job, so you've got to be good at it to do it,
Yeah.
But I mean, look, what I'm hearing, to sort of summarise the whole episode, Zach, as we come towards the end of our time, is that what the fans think we're going to need is a top quality striker, a top quality goalkeeper, and a fullback. And what we're probably going to get is a fullback and an attacking midfielder.
Then I mean, that's if we even get a player, mate.
Yeah. Bring Grom back home? I don't know.
January, ole, mate. It'll be.
It's
we'll start to see what will happen.
Look, at the risk of it becoming my cliche go-to response for every situation, it's going to be proper interesting, isn't it? Like, as things unfold, it's going to be fascinating to see what becomes. And I bet that even with all of our thoughts that we've put into it, something will come out of left field. Someone will leave who we're not expecting to leave, and someone who will come in who we're not expecting to come in.
But we never really expected Sugawara to leave, right? And then it was all of a sudden, he needs to play in one of the top 5 leagues, and then it was sayonara, I'm off. So,
yeah,
such is life, mate. Either way, been interesting chatting about it.
It's going to be good. Look, I'm excited for it, and I can't wait for the busyness of January to be absolutely chock-a-block of all of these games coming thick and fast, and transfer news every day. And basically what's going to happen is, to cover it all, we're just going to turn into a daily podcast that does an hour a day or something.
Oh, God. Well, mate, we've already run into 35 minutes today.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not far off, is it?
Nah,
But look, let us know in the comments on the socials. What are your thoughts? What do we need? Where do we need to strengthen? What should priority one in the window be for Saints? Thank you, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Zach, very much for joining me. Like I say, let us know in the comments on the socials what you think. We're everywhere. We're on X, TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everywhere. We're GSPN Southampton. Look us up, hit us up. We love hearing from you. And this topic in particular, I cannot wait to see the vast array of opinions of where we need to strengthen. We will be back tomorrow to preview our upcoming game at the weekend against Birmingham. Until then, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you then.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.